Hello, everyone. Welcome. Tonight is November 17th, and I'm gathered with the Venerable Jan Grinnell to be able to offer us a presentation on Rebirthing the URI campus ministry. This is part of a series called Deacons Talking on the Road to Emmaus, and it's giving us an opportunity to hear about the wonderful ministries the deacons are doing across the province of New England, and to be able to learn from their wisdom and insights, as well as to banter when we find things that are a little bit of a stumbling block and want to get insight and wisdom from one another. So this is our chance for conversation, and we are recording the session so that it's available for future use from other groups. So feel free to join in as you're able, and we'll welcome you to the conversation. Because it's a recent election and there's still a lot of anxiety that I find on people's hearts, I thought we could start today with a prayer for after the election. This is from the Education for Justice, and it was written by Jane Daring. If you could take a moment in silence and then listen with me. Lord, as we end the election cycle and look ahead to a new administration, we pray for healing and wholeness for our nation. Our bonds of community must be repaired and restored. Our willingness to listen to one another must be strengthened. Our respect for every member of our society must be revived. We pray for healing and wholeness in our nation. Guide us to move beyond divisive language. Guide us to move beyond angry rhetoric. Guide us to move beyond harsh judgments. We pray for healing and wholeness in our nation. Let us reject all forms of violence. Let us learn to forgive and reconcile. Let us model inclusiveness and welcome to all. We pray for healing and wholeness in our nation. May we move forward with hope. May we move forward with faith. May we move forward with compassion and love. As we end the election cycle and look ahead to a new administration, we pray for healing and wholeness for our nation. We pray to be part of repairing and restoring the bonds of community. We pray to be willing to listen to one another. We pray that we may respect every member of our society. Lord, hear our prayers. Amen.
Amen.
So to get us started, Venerable Jan has put together a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to switch to, and we'll listen to her give us an overview of what she's been doing at the University of Rhode Island. Jan?
Thank you, Julie. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to talk about the ministry that we've been engaged in at the University of Rhode Island. And just to let you know that this has given me an opportunity to reflect back on where we have come from in preparation for meeting sometime in the near future with the parish to also talk about the future of where this is going to go. Just a brief history of where we have come from. Our official name is St. Augustine's, the Episcopal Center at the University of Rhode Island, and it was actually established 60 years ago this month, and it was planted as a mission of the Diocese of Rhode Island, specifically to the university. The unique thing for this parish is they actually sit on the university campus, so to speak, and I use the word so to speak because the land itself does not belong to the university. It was actually given to the mission when it was started back in 1954, which gives us some flexibility because we could not be part of the campus because it's a church and it's a public university. So back in the 60s until the 1980s, it was definitely a flourishing parish and mission, with many students being engaged in not only the life of the parish, but in their own common life. There was a cafe there, and I think it must have been very reflective of what the 60s looked like across the country at that time. But it's declined steadily until the year 2012 when the diocese decided that they wanted to, well, in 2012, I should add, that was the beginning of the current bishop's tenure in the diocese. So in 2012, Bishop Nicholas Knisley came, and I think many of you know him, and campus ministry was definitely one of his priorities, as well as the diaconate, which is very exciting. And so David Dobbins, who is a priest, he and I were assigned as an interim team to go there, and we had been doing work together for 7 years before that with interim ministry. So we went to the campus not knowing what we expected to find or what the situation would be at all. And we were pleasantly surprised when we arrived there because I think it's one of the healthiest groups of Episcopalians that I've ever seen. And they are to be applauded because they were already engaged in mutual ministry when we arrived there, which is a very, well, back in 2012, I think it was still rather unusual to find a parish in that situation. The former rector had left the parish in very good status of understanding mutual ministry, and lay ministries were just flourishing. But none of the lay ministries were involved with the campus. During the last priest tenure, they moved into parish status as opposed to mission, and so their focus really was as a parish and not a mission to the campus. So for the years of 2012 through 2014, it was really an assessment period for us and a time for us to start establishing relationships with the administration, with the Dean of Student Affairs, and his office, members of the Chaplains Association, which is very active at URI, and all faith traditions are represented in that, including InterVarsity and the Catholic Center is there, Havel is there, there's a mosque on campus, so it's a very diverse and wonderful community. We also discovered this, what I'm showing right here is called Cross Currents. It was a program that was being run, it's still running, and it has had some renewed energy coming towards it, but it's an opportunity where academia and faith are able to come together, and so there are various speakers who come in. The president of the university spoke at one point. He's by education a chemist, as well as a man of great faith. He's Christian. Bishop Knisley spoke on physics and faith because he was a physics professor prior to being ordained priest. And we eventually had one student who arrived, and we tried not to absolutely tackle her and smother her with great joy, because it was an amazing event that there was actually, a live body that we had. And she came very shortly after we arrived, and then she brought 2 other people with her to attend church. And we were kind of off and running with small numbers, and it stayed pretty small. But in 2015, which was just last year, a little over a year ago, the parish made a commitment to chaplaincy on campus, and David decided that he was not the right person to be doing chaplaincy and wanted to split it into 2 separate paid part-time clergy positions. He was already part-time, and he still wanted to split it into vicar and chaplain. And that's when they reached out to me. I was already doing chaplaincy as a deacon, but because this needs to be a sustainable model moving forward, the bishop agreed that I would be paid as a chaplain for 8 hours a week at a relatively low rate, but nevertheless it would be a paid position for the integrity of the position, and but not to be confused with a deacon being paid by the diocese. So it was not the church paying for this chaplaincy on campus. Rather, it was the mission, St. Augustine's mission, because at that time they had gone back to mission status, chose to do that, and he agreed to it. In addition, the diocese was at that same time, right before then, they did change from parish status back to mission status so that they could get funds from the diocese. So in rebirthing the campus ministry, I like to look at it as it being rooted in the Episcopal Church, because a year ago I did put in a grant request to the national church, and it made me pause and think about how we do ministry and how we raise up ministries, and the fact that I really am excited about what's going on in the national church and trying to honor that. I looked and found that what we were doing naturally fit into the model that the Episcopal Church was trying to put forward. So two of the priorities of the General Convention, where we had resolutions, were Resolution A091, where we were affirming work for food ministries and food security, and C019, establish a response to systemic racial injustice. And I realized that we were naturally uncovering those two resolutions and addressing them through work that we were finding and being inspired to do when we made an intentional commitment to reach out to the university campus. So under the food ministry's food security, which you'll hear a little bit more about, we now have a food pantry for students on campus. We were helping to supply food for the graduate student village, where there were some definite food deficiencies there, and we also had a summer program this past summer where we helped feed the varsity football team, who was also experiencing food deficiencies. And that's a rather complicated story, but just know that it was a wonderful experience. And then in response to the systemic racial injustice, we also know that we had just come through a time where we had a theater event, actually a workshop combined with a theater event, where we had workshops talking about racial injustices, and produced 1-minute plays with the help of our local repertory theater, Trinity Rep in Providence, and worked with 3 other entities, 2 other universities and colleges, and then the city of Providence to produce these 1-minute plays. Again, a ministry that requires more time than we have to talk about. But then we also came back to the campus. That was produced in Providence, but we came back to the campus and did a rendition of the plays written by the URI community and produced that on campus and had a conversation after that. So what I'm trying to say is that we are connected to the national church as well as the local community. The other thing that I looked at were the 5 marks of mission as a focus, and the fact that to proclaim the good news of the kingdom, we are very closely connected with the LGBTQ Center on campus, which is called the Gender and Sexuality Center. To teach, baptize, and nurture new believers, I host individual conversations over coffee with students in my so-called office at Dunkin' Donuts at the Student Union building. And it's now growing into where this week I had 6 students sitting with me having a cup of coffee that I pay for. Some might be there for the coffee, but I choose to think they're there, for the conversation. So that's grown into now a weekly event on Tuesdays at 12:30 during this semester. Students know that I will be there and they can sit and have a conversation. Respond to human need by loving service, that I think is addressed by the things that I've just talked about, and as well as to seek to transform unjust structures of society, to challenge violence of every kind, and to pursue peace and reconciliation. And the last one, to strive to safeguard the integrity of creation and sustain the renewal of the earth. We have been working with students from the environmental sciences to engage them in helping us work with the Interfaith Power and Light, which is a regional environmental conservation initiative. So all of that to say that we are definitely rooted, this ministry is rooted in the Episcopal Church, and I think that gives us great strength as well as structure. So the programs that we have given new birth to on campus, we have a program called Feed a Friend, which is a monthly home-cooked meal that's available for students. You see a picture there of one of our gatherings. We just had one last evening. We had 35 students and 37 people from the parish gathered for a Thanksgiving turkey dinner. And we also had an a cappella group from campus, a cappella group of students who sang for us. So we had dinner and entertainment. It was marvelous. Our to-go ministry started from Ashes to Go, which we're all familiar with, but we also have Hot Cross Funds to Go that we do on Holy Week, Apples to Go at the beginning of the semester to welcome students back, and then Smartest to Go, which is given during the exams at the end of the year. We talked about the food deficiency needs and some of those programs that started. We've also become designated as an LGBTQ safe zone on campus following training by the Gender and Sexuality Center, and I think that that's critical, especially for many people who don't understand the depth and breadth of the LGBTQ community, the program, the language. It's just amazing. We did Safe Zone basic training, and you see down here in the corner we have University of Rhode Island Safe Zone. So that designation you will see on banners that we have out in front of our church now. And people who walk by know that we are a safe place for people to come to. It's bigger than a safety pin, if you know what a safety pin is that's going around right now. And then we designated 8 hours per week for the chaplain on campus. And as I told you, the conversations with Jan at Dunkin' Donuts at the Union. So those are some of the new programs that have started. And here is just a picture of Apples to Go, and you see us gathered out in front of the Student Union, which is where we hang out when we do these things. You're looking at me taking the pictures when they were in class. When they're out of class, they are flying by us in, groups of hundreds. So it's a wonderful ministry to be out there, and people now are recognizing us, and they're knowing that we are not the ones with the Bibles, throwing the Bibles at them, telling them they're going to go to hell if they don't believe in Jesus. It's really, we are here just to say, we're present, we're here for you, and here, have an apple, enjoy it, and oh, by the way, we have this thing called Feed a Friend, and we try to help them understand what other things are available to them. And what you're looking at are Facebook. Let me just go back. I think most of you who are familiar with Facebook will recognize the fact that these are Facebook pages that we have. We use Facebook a lot, and I'll talk a little bit later about our communication vehicle. So anytime we're doing anything, we get it posted on Facebook. In addition, we have, when we are hosting programs, we also post that on Facebook. And this was the notice that went out about the gender and sexuality workshops that we had in the fall. And what we did this fall was we opened up those workshops to the entire diocese, hoping that we would be able to reach beyond St. Augustine and invite other people throughout the diocese to come and learn. And it was perfectly timed because if you all remember, last June, the presiding Bishop Curry and President Jennings put out a letter to the church called Casting Out Fear, Ending Transgender Discrimination, and so we did it in conjunction with that call from the National Church. Here's another one of the postings. This is the actual Safe Zone training, the first basic training that started. We didn't have a large turnout, but you are now seeing that there are 9 other people who have knowledge that they didn't have before that day. So even though our numbers are small, we take great hope in the fact that that's the way Jesus started spreading the gospel. So when our numbers are small, we're okay with that. Here was a picture of on Facebook, the URI varsity football team that I said that we fed over the summer. Over here on the left, you can see them all marching into church. All 95 players and coaches came. If you remember, the hottest day in August was a Sunday, and that was the day that they came. And we do not have air conditioning, and it was hot. But during the end of the service, if you see over here on the right, the butterfly, that butterfly emerged out of its chrysalis right at the end of passing out the Eucharist. It was brought in by one of the parishioners saying, I think that this butterfly is going to open, and I was able to talk to the football players about the gift of hope that the butterfly can represent for all of us. Some of the other new initiatives, and I will show you pictures of this. This is We started a newsletter to students once a month, and we're using a wonderful tool to make that happen, and I'll show you that tool. We're using, I hosted student focus groups at the beginning of the year and worked with faculty and administrators to try to help spread the word about focus groups. And basically what a focus group was, I brought students together to say, what is it that we can do for you? And, oh, by the way, walk around our facilities and know that these are facilities that can be used by you. If there's a group that needs space on campus and there isn't room for you elsewhere, please know that this is a free and open space for you to come and use. So the focus groups were fun. They were not terribly well attended, but we still had about probably 20 students out of 13,000, but 20 students who came and shared with us and saw a facility that would welcome them, with the message that we are a place where it's an alternative to the party scene that's on campus so often. We had interfaith, or we host interfaith gatherings at the president's house, one per semester. His house is open. He has a basement room that is well stocked with ice cream and sodas and popcorn. And we go in and we sit down, and if you see the picture up there, it was Jewish, Muslim, and Christian students and adults coming together along with the president, who actually attended this. Then our 1 Minute Play Festival, which was addressing racial issues on campus. And we also offer a recovery Eucharist that is still in its infinite stages, hoping to grow that more and to let students who are dealing with alcohol and drug problems hopefully know that they can come and be in community with other people from recovery. And then we also do fun activities. We do snow tubing each year. This Friday night we're going to have tomorrow night we're going to have a fire pit, s'mores, and board games for them to play. So one of the things I wanted to say was, and I knew this from the beginning, I just didn't know how to do it, but obviously communication is a key to a ministry like this being successful. And so I'm showing you all the different things, ways that we can communicate, and I don't use all of them. I do not use most of them, actually, but we're growing, and we're growing into that. The monthly newsletter that I said that we started, it's called From the Arch, because St. A's has a little arch, and I'm the arch as the archdeacon, so it was a cute play on words. And this is what it looks like. We're using a software program called MailChimp that I will show you the address for, but it's a free program, and we can put out up to 2,000 mailings per month. And we have about 200 people on, no, I'm sorry, I think it's 20,000. We have about 200 email addresses as of right now. So this is communication with an email. Starts out with just a note from me, a sidebar that says what's in it, and then we go into news and updates from St. Augustine, the spotlight on racism that I was talking about. We have formed a Canterbury Club on campus, which is, I don't know if people are familiar with that, as an old term in the Episcopal Church, students gathering, Episcopal students gathering on campuses. This is not limited to students, Episcopal students, but we are starting that, and that's what we're calling the gatherings at the coffee shop gatherings right now. We're calling it a Canterbury Club. We hosted a post-election conversation for students and faculties last Wednesday, and I was sharing with Julie, we had no idea that we would have the turnout that we had because we all expected Hillary to win and that there would be nobody who would show up. And as a result of the election, we had over 200 students cramming into a relatively small space who wanted a voice and needed to talk. Our Feed a Friend program was last night, so we advertised the one that is about to happen that month, and then we also put in a schedule for the remainder of the year. And then we tried to let them know about other events on campus. Here you will see that there was a film that Hillel was showing, Little Known Tales of the Holocaust. translated, it's gold will set you free. Anyway, so events that are going to be happening on campus that would be perhaps of interest to students, we try to advertise that as well. And then the two events that are coming up, the fire pit tomorrow night and December 3rd, we're going to have a Christmas party and Yankee Swap. But the purpose of all this is to communicate to them and to be in touch with them in ways that they will be able to either be interested or find out from them what their interests might be. I always advertise my gatherings at the student union, and call me, text me, email me, get in touch with me, and come and have a cup of coffee. And it's been very effective, very effective. The last one was just a free play that was being shown, produced on campus. That was a free performance on growing up Black in America. So that was the monthly newsletter, and then each week we send out, here I'm just showing the top of an email, but each week we send weekly reminders for what's happening that week. They don't seem to be able to remember at the beginning of the month any more than you and I do. At the beginning of the month, what it is that we're supposed to be doing 3 weeks from now. So every Monday we send out opportunities this week. So this particular week was Feed a Friend and the Fire Pit and board game. So all that's done with MailChimp. This is the product that I'm talking about. It's a free mass mailing that we use, MailChimp.com, and it's really not that difficult to use. We do have a student intern who's working in our office, and she's the one that works with me. I go in and I sit down and I basically hand her the text that I want to use, and she builds the newsletter for me and then sends out the reminders each week. Facebook, announcing current events. We do a lot of this is what's happening today or tomorrow. This was the conversation that was held last week, the post-election recovery. So we use Facebook to talk about current events. We also use the campus newspaper. It's called Good 5 Cent Cigar. And we actually had the newspaper come and sit at one of the Feed a Friend meals. And as a result of that, boom, the next day there was an article. He was taping me the whole time I was talking, which I did not know about. That's a surprise. You have to be careful what you say, even if you aren't being taped. But if you are being taped, you really have to be careful. Anyway, we got some really great free advertising. On Campus Church offers home-cooked meals, welcomes all lifestyles. It was marvelous. And then we also, that same group on the radio is now doing public service announcements for us, saying that we have Feed a Friend coming up. And I'm sure if I wanted to advertise any other event, they would do that for me. So we have made a connection with the radio station. Last night, I was hoping that I would be able to get, this was a video. It didn't translate into a video when we brought my PowerPoint over, but that's the a cappella group on campus that came last night and sang 3 songs for us, and it was great. Here's another way to communicate, and it's called banners. There's a website, I think it's signs.com, where the first on the left, well, first of all, after Orlando, we said, you know what, we need the rainbow flag flying, and so the rainbow flag went up. And then if you can see the back of in the back of this sign, we do not look like a church. We look like a New England barn or something, which is really nice if you want to feel comfortable and not threatened by a church building, but it's not recognizable when you're walking by it on the street. The sign itself is very dark. St. Augustine, you can see that sign in. And so I thought, we need color, we need signs, we need banners. So on the corner, the first week we put up this sign that ended up costing $37 and 2 garden posts, right? And now it says, welcome back, students, and it has, you know, the Rhodey Rand symbol and our name at the bottom, basically saying we're here. We have the sign in the middle at the bottom is when we're having Feed a Friend that night. That goes up. And you'll now see the Safe Zone sign. We're putting that on with the Episcopal sign. So that goes up and comes down the day of Feed a Friend, but these are other signs now that are interchangeable. And I'm not sure if you can read these or not, but the brown one is our Thanksgiving one. It says, during the season of Thanksgiving, we are grateful for you. St. Augustine's Episcopal Church.